Good morning, Ernie.
Good morning, Craig.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. We're here.
My partner, Ernie Kasperowitz.
Yes.
Ladies' pet and a men's regret.
You've always said that.
Guy Smiley. Details for retail. Wash them and you get them dirty. Hello out there in podcast land. Everybody, hope everyone's well this morning. So, Ernie, a couple things. First of all, I want to start out with, you had a car buying experience. I think we could call it an experience over the weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to touch on that because I think there's going to be a lot of lessons that can be learned in that. And I also want to discuss this morning why the Eagles and the Browns suck. So I want to cover that a little bit. And before I do that, before we get into that, I want to cover a couple things. First of all, thank you so much for everybody that's joining on and that will watch on the replay and watch during the course of the day. Just a couple reminders. We are live streaming to our Facebook page. That's AutoMax Recruiting Facebook page, AutoMax Recruiting, and also to our YouTube channel by the same name, AutoMax Recruiting. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please review us. These shows then show up on all the audio podcast platforms in about 2 weeks. I think this is episode 35. I think we're up to, number 28. And that's available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify. So if you enjoy listening to long-form podcasts via your audio platform, and we're on all the big ones, this show will be about 2 weeks because we've tried to upload one a week, so you can listen to them that way. And also, if you would please leave us a review, good, bad, or horrible. We can learn by the bad and horrible ones. The good ones just make us feel good, so that's awesome too. One thing I want to discuss. So, if you could please share this stuff out, like it. You do all the normal stuff. We'd appreciate and we do appreciate your support. A couple things I want to talk about before we get started here about the Browns and the Eagles sucking and Ernie's car buying experience and everything else that we're going to cover today on the Recruiter podcast. Listen to them that way.
Am I bugging you here?
Yeah.
Mine should be on. All right, yeah, I just want to share it to you there.
That's all right. We are on our shows. Did you hire him, Dad? For the month of December, AutoMax Recruiting is going to be contributing $500 to our guests' favorite charity or nonprofit. We started that last night with our show, Did You Hire Him, Dad, or Kill Him After You Got Him, with our ace recruiter trainer, Anthony Santangelo, who has become pretty famous in the social media world and is an awesome recruiter trainer. And he has that show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And so last night we started that and gave away $500. We're going to be doing that again today. And Ernie, for your favorite charity, we are going to be giving $500 to the American Cancer Society. So to help fight that terrible disease. And so we're really blessed to be able to do that kind of thing. So every guest that comes on either the Did You Hire Him, Dead, or Kill Him After You Got Him show Tuesday nights, or the Recruiter podcast, any guest, whatever their favorite charity is or nonprofit, the one they're most passionate about, AutoMax will be sending $500 to those organizations to help give back a little bit in the world. We've been blessed to be able to have a pretty good year and a pretty good run of 22 years thus far, and decided, when you're able to help, you should help. And anybody would like to stand up with us and help along with that, that'd be cool also, but obviously not required, but it'd be cool if you do that. Now, I want to hit a couple friends of the sponsors here, sponsors that are friends of the program. Let's see, who should we start with here? How about our friendly maniacs at Tacoby, and the head maniac Jason Gerdner? It's like I could get lost. I could go down a rabbit hole with Jason's Facebook posts every day. Uh, and I was thinking about him on the way in. He really he he doesn't hold back on his Facebook posts. And this morning he had one, and it's kind of running into I think kind of what your car buying experience was over the weekend a little bit about the difference between old time quote unquote sales tactics and a new, more transparent sales strategy, if you would, and telemarketing and customer service reps and everything that's going on. I can tell you this much: Tecobi, TECOBI.com, Tecobi.com, they got it going on with leads. Facebook leads. I saw a he posted something the other day, and I'm going to screw this up badly, and I apologize, Jason and Scarlett and Dan, so forth, and team. But he showed a graph of a particular dealer, one of their clients, Tecobi's clients, about their month, and the numbers were amazing. I think I'm going strictly by memory here. I should have pulled it up, but it was, I think, Car Gurus. The store had one lead from Car Gurus. I don't know, maybe a handful from True Car. And I'm not bashing Car Gurus or True Car. I'm seriously not. However, the amount of leads and deals delivered from Facebook, and then Tecobi was also in the graph because Tecobi does a lot of, they have their in-house, what they term ninjas, which we were fortunate enough to be able to help them with initially, get a lot of those people, probably 20 of them or so. They accounted for, it was 50 deals for the month, just from Facebook leads. 50 deals. Now, I don't know. What's that, 100,000 in gross?
Sure.
And I know their pricing, and that's really significant ROI for a dealer, man. You get $100,000 gross on what they charge a dealer. It's like you're going to stand in that line a long flipping time, man. These guys kick ass, and they get it done for dealers. I mean, it's really as simple as that. Jason is I don't know, genius is probably a overused word, but I tell you what, this guy can write some software and is continuing to grow there. And what they do for their clients is mind-blowing to me. It really is. It just blows my mind, man. They get it done. And if I'm a dealer, I'm gonna have an agency, and one of our other friends of the sponsor, of course, is Dealer World, and we'll talk about them later. But I'm gonna have an agency for sure. But I've got to include Facebook, the power of Facebook. And I don't know how long it's going to last, and I'm sure there'll be different twists and turns along the way and how they develop. But I got to have, if I run a store, regardless of size, I've got to have the ability to use a company, use Tecobi, to grab those in-market leads. And plus, they have that forward flow of clients that they stay on top of. I think that's the real key. And again, we'll talk about this more as we go here, but it's not just that. You got to change your mindset, dealers, about that lead, where however it comes to your store. That's not. You don't have a 1 day window, a 1 week window, a 2 week window, a 30-day window. It really is this old school buy till they die. Follow up till they buy or die. It really is. And with Tecobi, they have the ability to actually be able to do that. So those leads are going forward. So some of those numbers would be, opportunities that started maybe 2-3 months ago that closed, I guess it would have been for November, and in the graph that Jason had posted. So that's really important. And I think a lot of dealers give up. They don't either have the ability to be able to do it or whatever the case might be. There's missed opportunities there, without question. So, guys, Tecobi.com, they really get it done. You want to kick off 2020, man? That's the way to get it done for sure. So, again, if you guys would leave comments, share this thing out, and all that good stuff. Also, during the course of the podcast, if you folks, and we'll try to look at our phones and look at the screen and see what's up. If you guys have a topic or something that you want to clarify or answer, I mean, this thing is live and obviously not scripted. If you guys want to text me, this could get me in a lot of trouble. Actually, text me at 609-517-1152. That's 609-517-1152. If you want to text me a question, something you'd like Ernie and I to discuss, talk about, if we don't have the answer, we'll make up something. No, that's only kidding. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. Just looking at the phone here, but thanks for joining, everybody. Morning, Scarlett. Morning, Jason. Let's see. Jason says those were November numbers. The pipeline at the dealership has grown substantially over the past 2 years that they've been with us. Yeah, man, Jason, those numbers were really impressive, man. It was like, I'm looking at those numbers. I'm going, gee whiz. Okay, son, we will see you shortly. You're buying lunch. So yeah, guys, really, you want to get your ash and gear crank up for 2020, reach out to Dan Webb, Jason, Scarlett, whomever at Kobe, and clear your mind, close your door, and actually listen to what they propose. The word guarantee is a tricky, slippery slope, and I don't know what they can guarantee to you, but I'm just, as a third-party observer, I would go so far as to say that I guarantee you, unless you do something to really screw it up and make it go sideways, it is a zero-brainer that you'll get a return on your investment. And in some cases, I mean, I don't know what substantial is to you as a dealer, but I'm talking about $10 for every dollar. I don't think that's an exaggeration. In some cases, probably a majority of the cases. So I don't know. If you give me that opportunity, I'm a businessman, you tell me, hey, you give me $1, I give you 10 back, I'm going to stand in that line for a while, man. And I'm going to reach out to Kobe.com. So, Ernie, at the beginning of the year, you know what the Browns, it was well chronicled. You know, we go all the way in on Odell Beckham Jr.
Mm-hmm. He wants to be out.
What's that?
He wants out.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I watched it's like the Cleveland media is, I mean, you got to understand, it's like, other than LeBron, they've not had to deal with any celebrity athlete in that town since Bernie Kosar, even the great Indians teams, they've still never won a World Series. They were in it a lot, and they're always, in the hunt, but not real over-the-top superstars. So you got LeBron, you got Bernie Kosar, 30 years ago, and Jim Brown. So they have a bunch of personalities come to town. The Cleveland media has no clue how to handle it.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
So Freddie Kitchens, they were interviewing him, and they said, and it was nonstop. And he told them, I'm not going to discuss it. And they're knuckleheads. The Cleveland media is so second rate. I mean, their best person, whoever that could be, wouldn't be allowed to ask a question in Philadelphia, in my opinion. I mean, they are low-rent media people, in my opinion. And a lot of them have been with the team forever. Some of them are just, it's like nails across a chalkboard, man. It's freaking horrible. And it's like, everyone hates Freddie. Everybody hates Mayfield. Ship OBJ out, The guy, if the guy has a sports hernia, remember when McNabb had a sports hernia? I mean, the guy was basically crippled, right? This guy's a wide receiver. His athleticism is his whole deal. Mm-hmm. You get a sports hernia, man, that's going to set you back some. Now, supposedly, he's told other players or coaches or whatever, come get me. So somebody asked Freddie, and Freddie says, did Odell tell you that? No? Okay, let's do this. I'm paraphrasing. Right. Until Odell tells you or tells me or anyone in this organization what supposedly is going on, it's not a story. Stop it.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's like Odell's fine. Yeah, he's had an injury. Everybody on the team has an injury. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the NFL has an injury. There ain't nobody healthy. Like, right? I mean, nobody. So, all right, both these teams are 6-7.
Which is
Say it out loud. Yeah, now, here's the weird thing. For the Browns, it's like 6-7 ain't that bad. Last year they finished 7-8-1, and it was like, oh, yay! That's because they had lost like 400 games out of 500. But
you guys were hoping to be 10-6.
Well,
right?
That's my point. They were both the Eagles and the Browns. And I don't have this right in front of me, but I'm guessing here, and I'm probably spot on. Anthony can check this for me right now because he's listening, I guess. Both of them were in the top 10 for Vegas odds to reach the Super Bowl, for sure. I know the Browns were, and I know both the Eagles and the Browns were. The Eagles media, they always blow the Eagles up. It's like, this is an Eagles town.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't Flyers, it ain't Phillies. It's the Eagles. So, but both of them have underachieved so much. Now, the expectations for the Browns were probably way off kilter because of they've sucked so bad for so long, where the Eagles are 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. But here's two teams that are definitely underperforming. I mean, you get beat by the Dolphins. That's pretty embarrassing. And they had no business beating the Giants. I mean, you were at the game, right?
I was at the game.
Watching that game, and I watched the first half, and the first half was a bloodbath.
It was awful.
It looked like Peyton Manning in his prime. And I don't know who was covering that rookie, but was it Derby?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, oh, look who's calling me, Mr. Ziegler.
Oh, wow. Take your call.
I just missed it. Hey, Jim, if you're listening, I'm going to call you back. We got a really good idea. We got a really good idea that I'll talk to you about. Guys, just it sidetracked me a little bit, but those of you who don't know, and if you're inclined to do so, at least put your good thoughts and feelings out towards Jim and Debbie Ziegler, his wife. Jim's battling cancer and had a little setback here. Not a little setback, had a pretty significant setback over the weekend and passed out a couple times and going through heavy radiation, chemotherapy, and then very major surgery, I believe, in February. We're trying to work out something where can get all systems go AV, our friends here at the studio, and get the crew down to Atlanta and to do a very long, very, very long, people say, how much longer can you go, Craig? Well, 6-7 hours, so I guess we could do. But have a sit down with Jim and Debbie. We're trying to put that together, or it's actually been brought to my attention that something I discussed with you briefly before the show here about possibly doing some sort of actual documentary, like a 3-4 part documentary about Jim's life and so forth, which would be kind of cool. So that would be pretty interesting. So we'll see about that. And Jim, I'll be reaching out to you. And just, guys, put your prayers out there for Jim. It'd be awesome. So the Browns, I'll take the Browns' point of view here. So, obviously. So they recruited, traded for, drafted talent over the last 2 or 3 years.
And they've had top picks for a number of years.
Yeah,
right?
a number of years. Yeah, I mean, they went full sixer tank mode, frankly. Created a lot of assets, which I think they used pretty well. I mean, they're still the youngest team in the NFL. It's something that people don't factor into anything. It's like this team, if they destroyed the Ravens, who look unbeatable. I mean, they hung 45 on the Ravens, beat the crap out of them.
Mm-hmm. That was your best game.
Right, probably. Yeah. Well, our wins are weird. Ravens, Bills.
Bills are a good team.
Yeah. Jets.
Not so good.
Not so good. Steelers, in the Helmet Gate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they beat the crap out of them. They owned it was 21-7 in that game. They totally dominated the Steelers in the last 8 seconds, got them screwed up. Who else have they beaten? Well, they've beaten the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Ravens. First time they've done that
In the division. Right.
since the new alliteration of the Browns.
Wow.
Alliteration, is that right? No, iteration of the Browns. So those are their wins, right? And they got Arizona coming up, but they've brought in a lot of players. They've recruited a lot of players, either via the draft, trades, free agent signings. So they've brought in a talent pool. The question is, do they have the leadership, and do they have the culture, which gets talked about ad nauseum in our business, but it's important, right? I mean, it's important in our organization. You know, we see it every day, man. You can tell on a phone call, speaking to a dealer or manager. I mean, we've been doing this so much. I mean, there's literally nobody in the country that has talked to as many car dealers as you have, you personally, over the last 22 years about recruiting people into their dealerships than you. I mean, it's
Right.
yeah. I mean, you're talking about tens of thousands of phone conversations, like literally. But you can tell, and I can tell, within moments, if you're listening, what that culture is probably like with whomever you're speaking to. Now, that person might not be the culture police at that dealership, but you can tell pretty quickly that, like, okay, this store's, you know, they're a little messy and so forth, so they need it cleaned up. But from the Browns aspect, what I see is they're not playing for. Hopefully, this is the way it plays out for me. Hopefully, this isn't a 1-year deal. Like the coach doesn't have a 1-year window. The GM, John Dorsey, doesn't have a one. Hopefully, the owner, the culture starts there, and it's not been a good start for Haslam's. Hopefully, they look at this. Hey, we got the youngest, first, second, or third youngest team in the NFL, which is important. Is our talent upper echelon? And I think arguably it is. I mean, we got the league's leading rusher, Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt's just played his third or fourth game, and he's
very good.
He's very good. So you got
Speed.
You got those two guys in your backfield. You got Jarvis Landry, who's a beast.
He's a receiver.
And Odell Beckham, who's underachieved, who still has had a sucky year and is still going to be over 1,000 receiving yards for the year.
Wow.
And he sucks, right? So you got potentially, you know, I mean, it's like every team, but they've been decimated with injuries, man. I mean, it's like, you know, you follow your own team, so you understand the injuries. And I have the ability to be able to follow the Eagles because of listening to local radio, and they've just been crippled with injuries. But every team has.
But I do think that you can't discount that. I mean, you have to, if you're as a teammate and player, you have to discount it. And to the media, as a coach, you have to say discount it. But to me,
It's real.
both these teams or any of the teams that aren't winning, the talent is very similar on all of these teams.
Right.
You know, unless you have like the superstars
Right.
are superstars.
Right.
They're just that much better,
Right.
which is unbelievable. But that little bit of difference better,
Right.
that you can't stop them.
Right.
So
well, it's so odd when you see these every single week. You know, it's been talked about years, parity, any given Sunday, all that stuff. But it's never been more true than this year.
Correct.
You look at some of these games, and it's like, what? Are you kidding me? Who beat who? How's that possible? And I think it's so. It comes down to such a slim margin of that day. Those 40, is it 47 active players? Yeah,
is it 48 maybe?
something like that. Whatever.
45.
If one or two of those guys have a nagging injury, just a small tweak here and there, that makes the difference between a win and a loss. Dominating or not dominating. Just, it's that finite because, I mean, these are all finely tuned professional athletes. They're freaking machines. And I think correlating it to a dealership, a car dealership, when we're recruiting talent into that car dealership, we have to start with the culture of the car dealership, whatever that might be, however that looks for you, the car dealer or the manager. What does that culture look like? What do you want to be? What do you want to be in your community? What do you want to be to your OEM? What do you want to be to your customer? What do you want to be to, most importantly, to your your internal customers, your employees, your team members? What do you really want to be? Start with that culture and then hire towards that culture, recruit towards that culture. So now you have the players, the team members, whatever you want to call them, employees, whatever. Now you got to develop them, coaching, right? So, it's in my opinion, just to jump over to the Eagles for a minute, and then I'll turn it over to you. I think when they lost Frank Reich, I think they lost a big part of their development and a big part of their coaching, in my opinion, as compared to, what's his name, Groh?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I haven't heard any. I don't know, obviously, and we don't know anything.
Correct.
We're just fans.
Correct.
The media doesn't know squat.
No.
We only know what the teams will put out.
Yeah.
We don't have any idea how this all really works. No clue. But from the looks of it, he's a weak link. So the Eagles have always had this quote unquote gold standard. Right? Not always, but over the last, 20 years,
tried
I
to work
guess.
towards that.
And it can be debated. Their drafting has not always been awesome. They've hit on a few, obviously, like most teams.
I was just going to say, I don't know that they're that much different than anybody else.
Right.
When it comes down to it.
And the thing that's been impressive is typically they're choosing, in mid rounds or lower, except for Carson when, they traded with the Browns and, whatever went on there. But it's like, well, here's the tricky thing. So Carson Wentz starts, so the coaching is important. And I think it's more important in the NFL probably than
that's what
NBA,
I think you're right.
NFL is pretty close. NBA probably maybe more important because you're only dealing with 5 players as opposed to 11.
I think coaching in the NFL is very important.
Yeah, it's I mean, baseball. It's not baseball's managing personalities. I think more than anything else, and football's a lot like that. But
football has a ton of coaches.
Right.
There's coaches for every little nook and cranny.
Assistant to the assistant.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of coaching going on in professional football.
Right.
So I do think that coaching matters, and I definitely think that they're not as proactive, not as creative in their play design as they were previously. When I say previously, 2017, when they were just drawing up plays that guys were wide open everywhere.
Well, Wentz was running.
A little bit more, but
what he gained 300 or 400 yards that year. I mean, it was like a lot, man.
But there were guys open everywhere. Yeah. I mean, like they could just throw. I mean, a little bit of like how the second half, and I'll get to that. Was
Alshon? Was he with the team in 17?
Yes. Yeah, it was his first year with the team.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He looks like a different person, man. He looks like a tight end.
Yeah. I got to believe he's been playing this year with a nagging injury.
I would think
all year long.
Yeah.
Because he's slow in comparison, and he was slow to begin with, but he's just got such a big wingspan, and he fights for the ball, and he catches it too more often than not. So he's been good, but where I see the difference for the Eagles this year is execution. Mental execution as well as the physical. They've made more mistakes that hurt themselves, throughout the course of the game this year than they had done in, let's say, a championship year. So mentally, they're not as sharp, all cohesive as they had been, and that I think does come back to coaching, or just the players are just not as involved with what they're trying to do. I don't know, but there's a lot. The execution is not the same at all. So that's one of the reasons, and it could well be because of injuries to players, and you're putting different players in. What I was going to say is, that Monday night game, the first half, our receiving core, we lost, like Alshon Jeffrey. He went.
Well, they only started. They only had 3 active
total,
wideouts,
and ended the game with essentially 1.
Questionable.
Yeah, but those guys hadn't even played together. Greg Ward, and Boston Scott. I mean, these are players that hadn't even played. So. But they seem to gel.
Those practice squad guys?
Yeah, they came off the practice squad. So that's what we're dealing with.
Right.
Which that's okay. I mean, I don't think they're late years different than
Right.
the other players.
Right. No.
But they don't have that cohesiveness, that
Right.
gel.
Well, that's my point. So I don't think it's dissimilar to an automobile dealership, regardless of size. For car dealerships, all the same talent is available for you to hire. Everyone's basically equal. Now, you could argue that if you're in a town and there's a huge publicly traded presence of a dealer group in that city or town or whatever, you would think that the top talent, quote unquote, is going to gravitate towards that more well-known store. However, that may or may not be true. I don't know. But the same talent pool's available. So if, in fact, that's true and you're a smaller fish in that big pond and you're competing against, it's like the Yankees signed Cole. Did you see this deal?
I knew they were going to
Garrett
go
Cole?
after him. What, they signed him yesterday then?
Yeah.
Okay.
9 years. 9 years.
Cole Hamels.
Garrett Cole.
I got it.
$36 million a year. Biggest contract ever given to a pitcher. $36 million a year. The guy has made, I don't know how long he's been pitching, 6 years? Guy's made $25 million in his career. Scott Boras, the what's he called?
Agent.
The agent. This week signed Strasburg
Okay.
and Cole is about $700 million. So even if he gets 3%, that's $21 million to him this week. $21 million for being an agent. This guy's got to go in the Hall of Fame for agents.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Geez, it's unreal. So at any rate, as a dealer, so we recruit these players, and we hope that they fit our culture, right? We look at them as talent. We interview them.
Right.
We recruit them. We interview them. We get a feel for them. There's a little bit of hope there. But let's say to steal our phrase, we hired them alive. Okay? These are players. This is the team we're going to go with. Then, from that point on, the main responsibility, in my opinion, is for management, the coaching staff, to develop and to find a way to take those players, that mix of talent, get the most out of them, have a strategy. However, not everyone's created equal. It takes Odell Beckham probably has to be coached or developed, handled differently than whatever. Pick a name. Ertz probably has to be coached differently
Then our backup Dallas Goedert.
Right. He's getting 15 targets a game or whatever. It's I don't know how anybody can. That's kind of mind-blowing. Everyone knows Wentz is going to Ertz, period. He ain't looking anywhere else. He has no intention of throwing anywhere else, and they still make it happen. It's kind of mind-blowing at times. So it comes down to the second part of our Tuesday night show with Anthony. Or did you kill him after you got him? So have the Eagles and the Browns taken the talent? Did we overestimate the talent on both those teams at the beginning of the year? Was that overestimated? Or B, did both these organizations take that talent and drop the ball, excuse the pun, over the first 13 games of the season? In my opinion, I think they dropped the ball. Both coaching staffs have a lot to do with, I think they both have winnable cultures going in. Being a Browns fan, that's kind of weird to say because they've sucked so long. But I think, they want to win. They spend the money. They try to do everything right. They went out and they got what they perceive to be the top talent. But at some point, they're 6-7. We are who we think we are. Well, our record says who we are.
All right. So, but I don't know that they have the same talent in every position as compared to, say, the 49ers.
No,
Like, you
but
look
the
at those
49ers haven't had any injuries either,
Well,
or as many.
Right. So the people on the field at this time or throughout the course of the season, they're just a little bit better than the other. And just that little bit better, bit better at every position.
Yeah.
In the game of football, I think it does matter. And then I do think what you're saying about the coaching, the strategies, football, it's a matchup. I mean, it's almost like a matchup league. And if you can have some that you can take advantage of somebody else's weakness, and you keep doing that, like that, the art of war is in the art of war. Where you find the weakness, and that's what you attack.
Right.
Some coaches don't do that. I don't think.
No.
I mean, I see it. We're in the stadium and we're going run the ball, because they're good at running the ball and they get yards when they do it.
Right.
And they're having success doing it.
Right.
But yet they'll do it, and then we're going to keep throwing the ball.
It's weird.
It seems weird from the fan perspective.
Right. Yeah.
They haven't stopped you, so why are you stopping it?
Right.
So some teams don't seem to do that. They continue to pound and chip away at what that weakness is, and I don't necessarily see it. So that's coaching to me.
It is.
And look at it. Frank Reich is having success as a head coach, and he's got to now work with his. So he was a brilliant mind. There's no doubt that if you can formulate a strong coaching staff, you're going to do better.
Yeah.
Even with less talent, you're going to do better.
I had an interesting conversation last week. Damien Boudreau reached out to me. Okay. He is involved with Ali Rita, and they're putting together a sales strategy, a whole program. It doesn't give it enough oomph. We'll just call it a program platform, whatever.
Okay.
That's going to focus more on management, because I think, I don't know. I don't think it can be debated.
Your leadership,
right? And that's where it's like. I mean, it's been since back in the day when you and I got into management. The reasons you and I got into management, we were great salespeople, and it was like, okay, well, you're a manager. Go get them. It's like, how do you manage? Well, I don't know how to manage. I know how to sell cars. I don't know how to manage. And then that just perpetuates itself year after year, generation after generation. I think that we're in that mode right now. Plus the fact, after 2008 and 2009 and that disaster, management that got into the business, there has been such a big uptick in sales. Banks started loosening up because our industry is totally controlled by the ability to be able to borrow money. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So when we go around high-fiving each other for a $5,000 gross on a 20-year-old kid that's in the military, and we lay him away for the rest of his life, guys, that's not that cool. And it has nothing to do with you. It has all to do with the lender giving you more money than the kid can afford to pay back. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster in terms of how many times you do that. But so I think what's happened is that we don't have a situation where management is being trained on how to properly lead and inspire. Damien and I had this it was like an hour and a half conversation on the phone, and we were talking about it, and it's incredible to me that let's call it 2020, that we still don't know the difference between a manager managing processes and developing or inspiring his or her people. Just take it in our little company. We got 30-some people. Our job is not to manage them. We have processes that you and Joe specifically have set up. Those processes and tasks can be managed and have to be. It's a must. There's no question about it. However, when we all talk as a group, it's about us inspiring and developing those people, checking in on those tasks and processes. But it's our job, it's your job to inspire people within our company. It's Joe's responsibility to inspire. It's my responsibility to try to inspire you guys to get more and more and more and more. So that's kind of the culture and kind of the day-to-day workings of it. And I think that's where sometimes in stores, that's an opportunity for gain that we have to look at. And I think it's no difference in sports teams. I think that they all have the same draft. They all have the same opportunities. They all have the same opportunities in terms of free agents, trades, whatever, to get the talent in there. But so did you hire him dead or kill him after you got him? I think in the Eagles and Browns case this year thus far, and even saying that, the Browns still, believe it or not, have an outside chance to get in the playoffs, which would be totally mind-blowing. But the freaking Eagles could end up winning their division. They're 6-7 with 3 games left.
Mm-hmm. Could go 9-7.
Yeah, they could go.
Could even win it at 8-8.
They could win it at 7-9.
Well, no, because they got
their division.
Dallas
beat Dallas.
Have to lose. They have to beat Dallas, and Dallas would have to lose
two
other games.
Yeah,
two other games to go.
Oh, would it be?
Yeah, that would
because they have a tiebreaker or something.
Yeah, Dallas beat us once, it's crucial that we beat Dallas. But Dallas would have to lose the next 3 for us to be able to win, like you're saying, at 7-9. 8-8, we could do it if we beat Dallas and Dallas loses just 2 games, not all 3. It's still there. Adam, you're Adam, our illustrious producer here at all the Systems Go AV. Excuse me. What do you see when you're watching these games, Philadelphia fan?
Yeah, what do you see, Adam?
I think you talked about it earlier, the coaching. There's a serious need for new assistant coaching, especially on the offensive side. And for the second year in a row, injuries have played a major, major part in this season. I think, they go into the season, they expect one thing to happen. They expect to have their deep threat Deshaun. They expect to have, not so much a one person carrying the offense, but a lot of parts that work together to create a well-oiled machine. And one of those major parts isn't there, and you start to see how it all breaks down. And then it's just a compounding, failures that kind of build upon each other. And that's where we are now. I mean, I think a lot of it just builds and builds and builds, and you deal with, it's a long season. And I'm sure the Browns went through their growing pains too. And to get that many people to be on the same page, it's hard.
Right.
It's hard. Everything has to go well. And you talked about the 49ers. Everything's going well for the 49ers, and they have an innovative coach.
Yeah.
And their scheme doesn't matter who they put in there. They use, 5 different running backs?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And how many different wide receivers? It still works.
Right. And, of course, the Browns had Shanahan a few years ago, and, of course, he was Browns were too good to keep Shanahan.
Was Shanahan, was he the offensive coordinator for the Falcons when they went to the Super Bowl?
Yep, sure was. And and before that he was with the Browns. He went from the Browns to Atlanta to the 49ers. And the Browns when the year he was the OC for the Browns, they were 7-4 when some genius decided it was time to put Johnny Manziel. They were in first place, and someone decided to put Johnny Manziel in as a starting quarterback, and they lost the rest of their games. It was like unbelievable. Just absolutely insanity. But yeah, I mean, what you're talking about, Adam, I think is synergy. Everybody working together, and that's another thing that I think in car dealerships, like in professional sports teams, they talk about policing the locker room, having veteran leaders in the locker room. I'm not sure how much that happens in an automobile dealership. I'm not sure. It seems to be more adversarial in a car dealership. The old, I used to think it was cool, and I fully participated in these things and divide the sales staff into two teams. Whoever sells the most cars during the month, go out for a big party. The winners eat steak, and the losers eat beans. It's like it's competition. So what do you got? You got no working together. That's a synergy killer for sure. Because it's like if you're on the other team, you and I could be best buddies. Yeah. But shit, I'm going to beat your brains out, man. It's like I'm not going to let you win. So, that's just stupid to have competition within your showroom floor
against
each other. Makes no sense. Right. It doesn't set itself up for when you need help, I'll help you, and when I need help, you'll help me, which is the way it should be. And there's no self-policing in a car dealership on that floor. I don't think. All of it comes from management instead of self-regulation of the players involved. If you and I are both salespeople on the floor or whatever department we're working in at a dealership, and I see you struggling or something where I know I'm good at and that I can help you, I think it's incumbent upon me, and I'm responsible to come to you and say, hey, Ernie, I see you struggling on this thing, and it's happened. I've seen it, and I could be wrong, and if I'm stepping over the line here, just tell me and I'll back up. But, man, you can do so much more, and I think if you tried this, this, and this, you might give that a shot and see how it turns out. I don't know that happens enough in our industry right now. I don't know that it ever has, but I think now I don't think it's happening much at all.
It goes back to the point you had made earlier. How are people learning within a dealership? They're learning from the guy that's there. So my
Right.
question is, you were fortunate enough that you did attend the NADA Academy for management training and running a dealership, right?
Right.
So is that available to anybody? Like, how did you get to do that? Why did your dealership sent you there?
Right.
So any dealership could do that if they wanted. As
Correct.
I'm going to say NAD, it doesn't have to be, but so there is a resource available. Why are not everybody working for a dealership going through that kind of training? Why does that not happen?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know.
Shouldn't that be like, I don't know, the requirement, of being able, because people don't naturally know how to manage.
No.
You're winging it.
Right. It's like we've been talking a lot about emotional intelligence. And it's, so many things, so many people, you're born with a certain amount of IQ, but you're not born with a certain amount of EQ, emotional intelligence. It's a learned behavior. I saw a thing by, let me see, Gary Vee put it on LinkedIn the other day, and I commented on it. Let me read this to you real quick. I thought it was pretty interesting. His original post this was from Gary Vaynerchuk. When you go from being someone who executes to someone who's leading a team, you go from trading on IQ to trading on EQ, emotional intelligence. As a CEO, emotional intelligence is what I focus on by far. The best managers listen to employees, take accountability, don't pass the buck to an employee in a tough situation. The best managers are actually the best mentors. What do you think makes a great manager? And of course, he's got 1,000 comments and so forth. So I commented, and it's gotten a lot of likes and feedback. Emotional intelligence is the key without doubt, starting with the recruitment, onboarding, development and retaining of top talent. So looking to recruit people in moving your interview towards a direction that will give you an idea of where that person is at on the emotional intelligence scale, what you're starting, what his or her baseline is, where you're starting from, because you're going to have to develop them almost regardless of how they come to you in that respect. Mm-hmm. Then hiring that person, onboarding them properly and professionally so they start right, and then constantly develop them. Again, to go back to my phone conversation with Damien the other day, and we're trying so hard to get them somehow to get them here in studio. I don't know how in the world to do that, but it was either one or the other or both of them would be a terrific show, of course. Mm-hmm. But I talked about what we've talked about in terms of how to handle a training meeting. It's in my opinion, and Damien and I talked about this, is, managers will say, well, I don't have the time. Well, that's a cop-out. That's just not true. What managers don't have to hold a daily training meeting is content.
Right.
And they don't want to go in there and look stupid. So, what I did was I'd go around, have a whiteboard. Okay, team, you got a room full of salespeople. Who had a situation yesterday having trouble with? let's flush it out, see if we can help, right? And person comes out, and whatever it is, missing party, everybody wasn't present to make a decision, yada, yada, yada. Okay, what did you do? What were the results? He or she expresses that. Then who else in the room has said something similar? Obviously, everyone has. What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? Mm-hmm. You're writing all this on the whiteboard. And so who's actually training your salespeople then? Well, his or her peers. Now, I don't care what you think and how big your ego is. Dude, you're white noise, you meaning managers, in most cases, to your team. You're just nothing but white noise. However, they will listen to their peers, right? Mm-hmm. So now you can have a daily development meeting, not a Glenn Ross, hey, my watch costs more than your car, coffee's for closers, you suck, second place steak knives, all that stuff. You can actually have true development meetings. And who's doing the development? All the team members. They're helping each other. They're creating synergy, surgery. So now you've created a culture where those people are really helping each other, to put it back into the Eagles and the Browns into football. So now it's not like the coach is saying, okay, guys, here's the way it's going to be. It's my ball. Mm-hmm. It's my way, the highway, whatever. Here's the way we're going to do it on the Eagles. But now you got people in that locker room that are helping each other. They're getting involved in the play calling. They're getting involved in what works for them. And they're working together. Then they go to the coaches and say, here's the solution to our problem. We haven't been running the ball, effectively. So here's what we'd like to try to do. Maybe we want to start under center more often, or, mm-hmm. or reverse it and go to the pistol more often, or whatever the case might be. I don't know, all the terminology and all the stuff. But I think that makes for a stronger overall team and a better result in the end. Your thoughts on that?
I think so. Doug Peterson at his press conference the day after somewhat talked about that, where they were grilling him about, hey, you're down 17-3 at halftime to a 2-10 team, a team that you should be just beating. What was the atmosphere like in the locker room? Were you guys yelling at each other, ripping and yelling, screaming? Yeah. Goes, guys, no.
Yeah, I don't think that happens.
Yeah, he's like, no, we were there helping each other.
This ain't college.
Yeah, but he was like, look, we break it down and we collaborate, and amongst the players themselves, they're working it out. We're coming up with strategies that will allow us to be successful going forward in that game. But no, we're not getting on each other, yelling and screaming. Everyone knows what they need to do. So it is somewhat what you're talking there. There was synergy amongst them as players. They weren't pulling apart from each other. They were trying to work together, and the second half was a different half. And they held the Giants to 29 total yards in a half, two first downs. I mean, so I don't know. Things certainly changed, and again, I see it was their execution, and I do agree with what you're saying, Adam. The coaching is a big deal. I also think that the players on the field. So from your analysis, Craig, of a dealership, I think a lot of times what happens is we aren't necessarily hiring the best people to come into our organizations. Right. We're hiring somebody because we need somebody, and this is all I've got, or I don't have time to go through this again, so I'm hiring this guy, and let's just hope it works out, or gal. I think it can start better there. Our drafting, who we bring into our stores, our organizations, has to be better.
Right. Hold on a minute. Shelley Buck. Don't go Bengals on us here. Come on, Shelley. I love you, but that's like, Andy, come on. Straighten up your wife, would you, dude? Bengals, please.
So,
So, who you bring in your organizations?
I think that's
important, man.
Yeah, I think it's more important than what we are giving it credit for right now.
Yeah.
Because the better you start, you're going to end up with the people then that have the mindset to be doing the things you want to do.
Did you hire them dead, or did you kill them after you got them?
There's truth to that, and I think I think then that every effort has to be made to hire truly the best. So what are you doing to put yourself out as being the best? I think the industry still suffers from a second-rate opinion. Like who wants it? Really, I mean, it's difficult to attract people into the auto industry, retail auto. It's still not considered like a respectable job, or I don't know if respectable is the right word, but when you think about it, it still has any position within the dealership. And then we'll go back to my shopping experience.
Right. Well, I venture to say people still are of the mindset to the majority if they've never worked in a retail environment or automotive retail environment that, hey, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
I'll see what it's like.
You don't aspire to do it.
Right.
Like it's not a profession
that
you
it's
go
on
to
your
school
mind
to
when
do.
you're a kid.
Right. I mean, kids don't go to college to then go work in a car dealership.
Yeah.
Right. So
I did, but that's odd.
but my point is, some over time that's got to change. I mean, we cannot treat people, and it's in large part because of how people are treated that go to work for a car dealership.
No doubt.
So when that stops being the case, then you'll start having people say, okay, well, this is a noble profession or whatever. Noble may not the right word, but you know what I mean? It's the way we treat our customers. They see that, and they see they don't want to be a part of that.
Right.
Now, again, I had a real good experience, and you could see somebody wanting to gravitate to go to work at that organization.
Right. Let's get into that in a minute. Let me let's pay some more bills here. So, millionaire producer Adam over on the other side of the glass, as they say in Radio Land. So he can spend massive amounts of our money. So we need to have sponsors to take care of that. Next thing I want to talk about is the Rockstar Auto Conference going to happen in March. I think it's the 16th and 17th. I probably should look that up. But if you go to rockstarinfo.com, that'll give you the exact dates. It's a Sunday, Monday. Excuse me. The Rockstar events are really interesting. And I don't think I've let the cat out of the bag. Well, maybe I have because it hadn't been announced publicly. But my son, our partner Joe Lockerd, is going to be speaking. I'm 90% sure at that. And we might have, actually, we, meaning AutoMax Recruiting, might have a second speaker there too, a very well-known person. So we'll give you more information on that as we go along. But you want to go to rockstarinfo.com. I'm not familiar with the venue. It'll show up when you go to rockstarinfo.com. It'll show up. It looks pretty awesome. And I believe in your ticket price, it includes a suite at the property. And the rooms look pretty awesome. So I'm going to get, if I go out, and I might, depending on health, all these orthopedic issues, if I go out, I'm going to get a big-ass suite and get a real nice room out there. But it looks like a real nice property, a real nice venue. And Matt really puts together a nice thing. I would strongly urge you dealers, people, and so forth, it's in Vegas, easy to get to, inexpensive investment in your future. And if you're not willing to spend money on yourself, man, you're just go do something else for a living. It's just you will never get anywhere in life. I don't care what you're doing unless you invest money in your success and time. There's no way it's going to happen unless you're just some natural freak of nature and things just come easy to you. In the automobile industry, you need information, and you'll get it at the Rockstar events for sure. They are an interesting situation, venue. The information's awesome. The speakers are always terrific. So go to rockstarinfo.com. We, meaning AutoMax, are a partner sponsor with them, and Rockstar helps sponsor the Recruiter podcast. So it's a quid pro quo, an actual real quid pro quo, not like the one that's being perpetrated right now.
Thank you, Matt.
Not to get yeah. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you. So, also, guys, and I see I'm just taking a look here, and I see some engagement here from all y'all. Guys, really seriously, if you have a question or something you want Ernie and I to cover here on the show, this isn't going to be a 4-hour show today. Because we're leaving here and going to go have a end of year first quarter business meeting for all day meeting at Chicken Pete's. So we'll probably get shit-faced drunk. No,
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
not gonna
true because
It's not going to
I don't drink and none of us drink and drive. So,
No.
but we'll be at Chicken Pete's and down by the sports complex in Philadelphia here in a while. But any questions that you folks might have instead of, because I don't want to be looking down on my phone a lot and looking through the stream for questions, but if you want to text me a question that you want Ernie and I to discuss, you can text that question to 609-517-1152, 609-517-1152. And like I said earlier, we'll discuss it, and if we don't know the answer, we will make something up. Totally lie about it until it sounds good. We're really good at that. No, well, sort of getting there.
Years of practice, right?
Yes. So you went shopping for a car for whom?
My in-laws,
For your in-laws.
their lease, they've been leasing for years and years, is ending at the end of this month.
Right.
Product X they like, but we're considering a different vehicle manufacturer. And they didn't have the ability to go out and check it out.
Right.
So circumstances were such that my daughter Lauren and I, she's 22,
Right.
knows
That's
her
an
stuff.
important part of an important part of the story. Judging a book by its cover, it's just human nature. Everybody does it. We talk about not doing it as much as you want, but you and your 22-year-old daughter walk onto a car lot. You're sized up as being a pretty good up, I would think.
Yeah, you would think.
You know, because first impression is, oh, Dad's here buying the daughter a car.
You would
Right.
think.
I mean, that's pretty good up, right,
think.
to start with. So there was your in-laws didn't do any online shopping.
Not on this
information
particular
gathering
product,
or
not on this vehicle. They had
Okay.
a sense of what it is and
Right.
so forth, but they, want to get a sense, with my daughter and I, what we thought of that particular vehicle.
Right.
Could it work for them? Features, benefits, similar to what they have. So before they would proceed into another lease of the same vehicle, they were going to strongly consider this as an option.
Right.
So we pull on the lot. Now, it was the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
Right. So you're an
Saturday at the
actual walk-in.
yeah, complete blind, so to speak.
Right.
And the dealership didn't necessarily, from living in the community, have the greatest of reputation. But that's like years old, I thought. Okay, because this is, I've lived in this community now for a long time. And
Right.
it's kind of been, there. So we pull up, and we were out kind of in the service area where the parking lot, and there were salesmen just kind of hanging out, waiting to
Physically outside.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So guy introduced himself. We're fine. Gave him the lay of the
All right.
land.
So you park your car and someone approaches you.
Yeah.
He was up next or whatever.
He's out on the lot,
Okay.
hoping to find a customer.
Right.
And it started out okay, where he was, cordial and so forth.
Right.
But immediately trying to pick, is this going to be a guy who's going to buy a car today? It's a Saturday. He multiple times had said,
You buying today?
Yeah, it's a Saturday. I'm really looking to, make a sale today. Are you guys? I'm like, no.
He said that.
Yeah.
He said those words.
Yes.
Said those words.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen that are listening that are in a sales position or management and leaders, don't say that. That's stupid. Don't teach that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
continue.
he, rather than walk into he points, goes, well, all right, go ahead and go into the showroom there. I'm going to go in here, whatever, and I'll meet you back in the showroom.
Right.
Okay. We're in the
Well, that's weird.
That's weird. So we're in the showroom, kind of just hanging around, whatever, and management was there, and, I kind of said hello, whatever. This guy, I don't know what he did. Must have gone to the bathroom or something. And then comes back, joins us, and you have to sit down. He starts getting all your basic information. And I gave him the lay of the land, that I'm not physically going to be doing the purchase, but if this vehicle passes our muster, you darn well might be making a sale here. If the vehicle doesn't present, and more importantly, the budget for it isn't going to work, just tell us, and that's fine too. Well, it took, I don't know how long to be able to go through that, gathering my information, your driver's license, collecting all this stuff. Okay. then we go. He goes, well, which vehicle are you looking at? X. So he goes and finally pulls one up for us. We get in the car, and it's got 7 miles left in the tank. The guy says to us, he goes, well, you weren't really going to drive that far anywhere, were you?
Whoa. No way.
I'm here for a test drive. That's what he said. You guys, I'm like, well, actually, yes, I do think I'm going to go more than 7 miles.
Right.
So go get your gas. Yeah, he goes, I'm being lazy. I'm like, yeah, dude.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
I'm being lazy?
I'm being lazy. I'm like, this is not good.
What do you think? Any idea on how long this person had been doing this? Or
I don't know.
what would your gut tell you? Was he brand new or a year in or 10 years
He's
in?
been around. Yeah.
Okay.
Been around.
All right.
Been around. He so he goes, gets it. We're at the gas station, getting gas in the car.
Oh, we stopped and gassed it
Yeah,
up.
we stopped and gassed it up.
Who,
with
you-
him. Well, he
you
was
and
in
Lauren?
the car. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but
He
we
was
had
there.
Yeah, he was there.
Gotcha.
Jersey, they pump your gas, so okay.
Right.
So there was an ample opportunity for him to show us stuff,
Sure.
features in the vehicle.
Yeah.
I really don't understand how this stuff works here, but hey, when you buy it, there's a guy that'll come out and show you everything how it all works. Wow. So wait a minute, you're saying I'm going to buy a $30,000 vehicle or more,
Right.
without knowing
Right.
what the features are, how the features work,
Right.
but you'll show me after I buy it.
Right. I get to know after.
Come on, I mean, what in the world is going on here? So there was zero product presentation at
Was
all.
this a male or female?
It was a male.
Right.
In this case, it was a male. And that was the other thing I was going to say. It didn't surprise me after the end of this, after then working with management, there were no female sales employees. My second, very, very good, there were. Just so kind of
Interesting.
very interesting. So there were no feature benefit about that vehicle whatsoever, other than there's a sticker basically, and look at how great this car is for crash safety. It's going to be really safe for your in-laws. I'm like, yeah, well, we already know that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not
Right.
that's a no-brainer. But tell me
Right.
more about, the workings of the car, and just show me the car.
Right.
Show me how the seats fold, and
Right.
just ease of operation.
Right.
Just
Well, let's stop
anything.
there. Here's what's happening. We've thoroughly bought into the statistics that 85% of the people, or whatever that number is, 85% of the people do all the research online. They go to a bunch of different sites, whatever. They submit a lead. That lead goes into the BDC. The BDC sets the appointment. In a perfect world, they come in, right? Or, well, I'd like to see us go to them, but I guess that's not possible. Get them in. So we go. So it goes from the BDC, then a professional handoff to the salesperson, or again, in my perfect world, I hand off to sales management, some sort of manager on the floor, and then from that to a quote unquote salesperson that would then go into a full product demonstration information thing.
You would think. I mean,
Right.
I get it that the customers now know more about
Yeah,
the
well,
vehicle.
see, that's my point. I'm not sure that's true. I think see, those stats have been sold to us by digital marketing companies in a lot of cases too.
Well,
So
even
it's
if-
like I'm not sure how true it is.
Well, yeah, but
in
say,
the real world,
even if I do know more about the vehicle than I ever did before, I
Yes.
still don't know.
right?
It's when I walked in that showroom, that's the first I really got to
Right.
touch that vehicle, see that vehicle, drive that vehicle, smell everything about it. It
I
was
dis-
new to me.
I discussed this on our company call last Friday, I think. Whereas, we as recruiters, if you ever think you're talking to a dealer that knows more about recruiting to you than you, even
It's
our
not possible, right.
newest employee has done it 1,000 times more than the person that she's talking to at the dealership. So at the car dealership, it's the same thing. We're going to have more information, or should have more information, regardless of the client's information or knowledge of the vehicle. If we don't, shame on us, man. And this guy obviously did not.
He didn't
and didn't care.
Didn't
Didn't
care
sound like it.
one bit about it.
Yeah.
So as it progressed, and what I was going to say to you, one of the things I think when we're like even us doing our job,
Chris Walsh said the 3 C's. delivery. See the car, see the keys, see you later.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I was going to say, Chris, it got to a point where I was getting broomed. It's hilarious how it went down.
Getting groomed.
Yeah. And I know what was going on. And as this is going on, I'm like, guys, just please understand, I know the business. All right.
Right.
After a while, like I had to repeat myself. Like, I know I've
Right.
done this. I
Right.
sat where you sat. I've
Right.
sat where
Yeah,
he
I'm
sat.
35 years in the
Yeah,
business, guys.
So
Right.
what is going on here? So we then get to where I really just needed to know ultimately, would the numbers work?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So,
So at this point now, you've overlooked all the poor. You can't even call it salesmanship,
Yeah,
but all the
there's
poor service.
yeah.
Right.
And getting jabbed that, this could be a really busy day. I was really hoping to have a buyer here today. You know,
Right.
are you going to, like
Right.
more than one time,
Right.
the guy actually went down that road.
Wow.
So there was one point where Lauren actually went like this to me, pulled on my arm because she
Like,
knew.
let's go, get
Well,
out.
no, she knew I was about to
get
verbally
pissed.
like say, "Hey, look, dude, man, this is
Right. Gotcha.
I've had enough. Right?
Right.
You've already crossed my line
Right.
5 times.
Yeah, I better
And-
calm Dad
yeah,
down before he
yeah,
blows the
she,
gas.
She could.
And
see
it takes a lot for you to get pissed. So
in these scenarios, I just like be professional.
Right,
You know,
right.
I expect a certain level of. I have expectations. I'm going to learn about a product, drive the product, test drive, no more than what I did when I walked in, not
Right,
less.
right,
That's
right.
not why I'm there.
Right.
You know, my
Right.
time was valuable
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
You know, and it could have been valuable to him had he actually made an effort to show me and sell me and build value in his product, in his dealership. It may well have turned in. They would have liked that. But
Right.
so then we go to do, I just needed the numbers. All right, guys, just tell me straight what this will be, for my in-laws. Boom. I said, this is where they need to be. Well, first of all, it's like, oh no, our product, we can't get to that kind of numbers. We're not really interested in volume selling. We just want to sell, I'm like, well, what does that mean?
What?
They weren't interested.
We're not inventing.
in volume selling.
No, we need to make a lot on every car deal.
Right, exactly. That's
Awesome.
basically, I'm like, okay. So they come back
funny
with
as hell.
numbers that are way beyond what my in-laws would be able to spend. I'm
Right.
like, okay, all right, guys.
This is a cash deal or
No, they were going to lease it. They're going to lease.
okay.
So they just
Oh,
need to
okay.
be,
X amount a month.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. And all along, they're like, oh, no, you're not going to be able to do that. Or you're not going to be able to do that. I'm like, well, why not? It's realistically the dollar value of this vehicle sticker is the same dollar value as the one they're going to. So in my mind, you got to be somewhere close. You can't be
Right.
millions of miles away.
Right.
So the manager comes over and goes, well, all right, where are you guys at here? And I'm like, wow, we're not going to work, and here's why. So then he comes back, gives me a different number, lower. I'm like, okay, well, that's still not. I said, what if we, how much down, cash on a lease, which you don't do, but I just want to get a sense of.
Right.
Then he comes back with even less money at the payment that I really needed to be initially. I'm like, what do you guys,
Wow.
why did this just happen? Why in the world did you not just say, here's what we can do? Because, I'm not buying it now. This is where they need to be. If you can be there, you have a shot. If you can't, just tell me,
Right.
hey, it's not going to work. I don't want to waste your time.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
They did go back and forth with me.
Right.
And by this time, Carol actually
Yeah.
had
And
come
they're
over.
actually negotiating against themselves. You're not really negotiating. All they're doing is dropping money.
It went from it was just ridiculous. Like Carol actually had gotten there by that point in time. And she's like, what is this? Like,
Right.
why?
Right.
Why? That was it. My leaving there was why? Why did I have to experience that?
Right.
That was so, there was other stuff going on that was just as bad about it, but it was like Neanderthals. It's like everything that is wrong of the perception of the auto industry that stops people from wanting to go buy a car, to walk in and engage.
Right.
It was all of that. It was everything wrong.
All right. So this is on Saturday. You talk to we'll use the term loosely, salesperson. You talk to one manager?
2, actually.
Talk to 2 managers. Undoubtedly, they have all your information, right? And how's the follow-up been since Saturday?
I got one call from the manager. I got a couple calls and text from the salesperson within 2-3 days, and now it's been none.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
Did you reply to any of it
No.
or no? Okay.
No,
okay.
no.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, there's not going to be.
Yeah. Why would you?
I've not.
Right.
They're not going to purchase that. Well, if they ended up purchasing that product, there'd be no chance I'd let them go there.
All right. So, all right. Let's break this down a little bit. And again, you guys have any questions, text them in at 609-517-1152. So let's dissect this portion of the experience thus far. So let's start with that individual salesperson. Now, we don't know. You're saying this person was probably more seasoned.
Oh, the person indicated, I guess it's possible that he had owned a dealership in the past because I told him where I worked, what organization I worked for. And then he goes, do you recognize this name of it? Yeah, I'm
Right.
like, yeah, that's a long time ago in my life, but yeah, I do. He goes, yeah, that was me.
Huh.
So
this guy's a former dealer.
supposedly.
Okay.
And maybe,
Right. Well, I don't mean any offense. So that might have been the biggest problem. So
yeah, maybe.
yeah, might have been. So at any rate, all right. So we start with a person that may or may not have been a good hire to begin with, right?
I think it was a bad hire.
Probably a bad hire.
Yep. Now maybe they were just trying to give the guy a shot. I don't know.
Maybe.
He was a mature gentleman, which was a little surprising, especially for the brand.
For the product line,
I think, I think
I would agree.
I think the product line, that particular, is a younger
Right.
person buying it.
Typically.
Although, yeah, I do.
Right. So it's a bad hire. So we as an industry, I don't think it can be overlooked. And I think for a moment, let's stop there for just a moment. So when you're making decisions to hire, where we as an industry get into trouble a lot is we're reactionary in our hiring. It's like, oh crap, we're short, or we're not going to be able to take advantage of an upcoming market, or growth, or what have you, or we need to replace some really weak links here that just aren't getting it. So we as an industry get stuck with making hires, and it's not as bad as, can this person fog up a mirror, but it's just short of that sometimes. So in our series, in our video series on YouTube, AutoMax Recruiting, our YouTube channel, and something we're putting out an email blast next week. We're putting out some new content. Actually, it's repurposed content from the series we did called The Recruiter. And we start off that series with talking about when to hire. And we've talked about this over the years a lot. It's pretty funny. It's like, a dealer will call in and you'll talk to a dealer and somewhere, how many committed, well-trained salespeople do you need? You're talking about salespeople. I mean, we do everything, technicians and
BDC.
Everything, BDC, the works. But let's just talk, because we're talking about a sales situation right now, let's talk about sales. So how many committed, well-trained salespeople do you need? Well, I need 3. How many do you need after 90 days? Well, 3. Okay. Well, you should probably look at taking 5 or 6 just in case. Natural attrition, yada, yada, yada. Let me ask you something. How'd you arrive at the number 3, that you need 3? Well, that's the number of desks I have available. And it's like, we've always made a joke about that, but you really got to think. I mean, listen to what I just said, listeners, viewers. How did you make your decision based on how many people you need to add to your organization? It's the number of desks I have available. And this is not made up. This is actually what we go through when we ask that question. So what if you had 20 desks? Do we hire up to 20? What if we only had 1 desk? Do we only hire 1? How much is a desk? Let's go ahead and invest in more desks. Going back to Jason, Jason put out a post, I think it was today, about BDCs being understaffed. And I agree 100%. We have BDCs that are, these people are supposedly, handling 150, 200, 250 leads a month. That's literally impossible. You could touch base with them all, but there's no real follow-up. All you're doing is loading up your CRM with tasks. There's nothing really being done properly. Going into 2020, ladies and gentlemen, you got to make sure your BDCs are staffed. and can really handle the leads and work those leads and the forward flow of those leads that are unsold until they literally buy or die. So that person, I think we can agree, based on the situation, the story you just told, probably shouldn't have been hired.
I would agree.
Now let's take it one step. So, okay. And the other reason, when a dealer calls us and I need 3 salespeople, how'd you arrive at that figure? Well, that's what we normally run with, and I'm short. Okay, well, if that's what we're normally running with, so we're hiring just to keep pace with what we used to do, or are we looking for growth? Because if we as businesses are not looking for growth, or if you're the manager of a department and you're not looking to grow your department, you're not going to be around that long, because you're going to go backward. So to hire towards that's what we normally run with is a recipe in small part to a disaster, I believe. So I think we have to, again, I'm not plugging the video per se, but there's a lot of good information on the recruiter series on our YouTube channel, AutoMax Recruiting, is the law of diminishing return. When you hire, let's see what that hire really does in a mathematical economic equation. Google the law of diminishing return, learn about it, and hire towards that concept. It's not really a concept. It's an actual economic law. Instead of just winging it, this is the number of desks I have, or that's what we normally run with, or all the other, it's just the decision to hire is important. So let's say this guy that you talked to was horrible, but he was new. So does that take it to he was dead when we hired him, was a bad hire, or did we drop the ball somewhere between the data hire, onboarding, and ongoing development of this person? Because both could happen, right?
Well, think of it this way. There can't be any process in place at that organization as far as a selling process. So things that they would expect, a demo drive, feature benefit presentation, touching base with there was just nothing. There was no structure there. There was no accountability. So I don't know how that organization can manage. What are the metrics of what they're trying to accomplish? So I don't see how you can manage that group of people. So that was definitely missing. I'm not so sure that anybody. I think there was other salespeople that I saw while we were there that were showing customers ins and outs of vehicles. So I think there's some people that would get it there, but it certainly didn't happen in our case at all. Not one bit. And you can contrast that. And, the other part, too, is we are going to purchase our lease turn-in vehicle because it just makes sense. My father, they travel. They have a 10,000-mile a year lease. So, so it should have, in their case, 30,000 for a 3-year-old vehicle.
Okay.
It only has 15.
Oh.
So it's, I'm in a position where I do want to get a second vehicle, and that's ideal. So that was part of the equation.
Gotcha.
And they were making that difficult. They're like, oh, I don't know, I'm like,
that's simple. That's a
yeah, and they're
pushing papers.
I know, but we used to do it, and they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, no, I know you guys can do this, and maybe there's some hoops that have to whatever. So that was a problem as well. I'm like, oh man, guys, okay, So it just ended up being I don't know, a real drag, a real letdown because I would. It
was a bad feeling.
Yeah, it made.
And what's going to end up is you're going to tell this story. Well, now we're telling this story to a couple thousand people, but just when you're at a dinner party or so forth, because you and your wife are such social butterflies, you guys are. But this story is going to come up.
Well, and it's worse because when I talked about the numbers,
it gets worse.
Yeah. Well, the particular product, we're friends with a vice president of the corporation. So,
all right, want to say that again?
I'm friends with the vice president of corporation.
Oh, okay.
And, for that manufacturer in sales.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Gotcha.
So I can get. He'll extend to me his like a friend's family buying, so you can get it So pricing should have been as transparent as it could possibly be.
Right.
And they were like, "Oh, we're very transparent."
Why didn't you
but
go
they-
that way to begin with? Why didn't
Well, I
you
did.
reach out?
Oh, well, no, I already had the okay. I know what that would be accepted if we were. You can't buy it from the factory. You know what I mean? I still had. I wanted to still go. You still got to go to a dealership.
okay. I understand now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But through that, they'll give you the forms, and so you get it. In this vehicle's case, it's like 3% under invoice or something like that. So the dollars and cents should have been as clean and straightforward. There should have never been any back and forth. Like, well, we can, like, what were they expecting me to just sign up on that? I don't know. It just made no sense.
So, I mean, there's a lot of different directions. Excuse me, I'm talking with food in my mouth, but a lot of different directions this should have gone or could have gone. But it's probably no more complicated than the salesperson approaching you. Great to see you today. What are we hoping to accomplish today? You shopping around, gathering information. What are we trying to get accomplished here? What would you like to see happen? Mm-hmm. Well, I'd like to drive the car, learn about its features, benefits, and get a price.
Fair.
Okay. And so what? There's nothing bad for the salesperson or the dealership at that point, right?
No.
So here's the car. Here's the features. Here's the benefits. Let's drive it. Did you like the way it drove? Great. Here's what it's going to cost you. What do you think? Good, bad, or horrible? What would you like to see happen next? Well, we're going to have to give it some thought. Great. No problem.
We were hoping to enthusiastically recommend that
Right.
product to my in-laws. That was our hope of going in there.
Right. So this
I had no
salesperson killed a whole product line
absolutely.
too.
Yeah, gave us no opportunity
Right.
to do anything like that at
Right.
all. We had zero. It was really discouraging. That's what I'll call it. Was a discouraging experience.
We got a text question from a gentleman that listens to the show, Ethan Rawson, up in Massachusetts. I believe Ethan, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe is a used car director at this operation. But my question is, how does one get, because we talked about this briefly earlier, my question is, how does one get their general manager or owner to push for more management training like NADA? I re-listened to the Adam A. He means Adam Aaron's podcast. It was a great podcast. If you guys want to go back, I'm not sure that's on iTunes yet. Yeah, I think it is. I forget what episode he was, but I don't know. Producer Adam, if you can see when Adam's Aaron's what episode number it was, I'd appreciate that.
29 or something like that.
So, hey, guys, by the way, millionaire producer Adam is from All Systems Go AV. He's going to be more involved in these podcasts because he's pretty cool and he's very smart. And so he's going to be
And he's
more
an
involved.
Eagles fan.
He's an Eagles fan, right. Let's see. So I really listened to Adam Aaron's speak on your show, and it seems like he knows, quote, that is the way. How can someone like me, middle management, get there? Or do you have to take these things into your own hands? As always, thank you for this fantastic content. If you like more questions, I've got them. First of all, Ethan, thanks for the question. And we've never met. If you're down this way, you're welcome to have you on the show. You sound like I would be shocked if somewhere in your career you don't end up being really very, 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 very successful. Because I think Ethan's a younger guy. You've talked to him on the phone, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
You have to approach your owner. He or she's going to be cutting a check. The way that any sale has to take place, and this is a sale, you getting training from NADA is as simple as not, hey, I want to go for my own selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. I want to, ultimately advance my career. I want to make more money for me and my family. Has zero to do with the dealer, basically. So the way I would, if I was your dealer or if I was your GM, if the GM actually can make a decision like that, which may or may not be true, I don't know. I obviously don't know your exact situation, the structure of your store, how it's set up. If that person's even a check signer, could make it. It's a pretty big decision. I think if I was one of those two people, and you came to me and say, "Look, here's what I'd like to do, and here's what's in it for you, Mr. Dealer." I want to be able to take our dealership or be engaged in part of taking our dealership way into the future and to really take advantage of the market and to really become experts in the market. And to do that, I personally feel I need more training to be able to fulfill to my capacity what I'm capable of at our company here. Mm-hmm. And I need your help. So would you send me to an ADA Academy or whatever training it might be? But you have to sell it to your leadership of what's in it for them, because they don't care what's in it for you. I mean, within reason, they don't care. Mm-hmm. But if you, in my opinion, and you asked the question, so here's my answer. If you want to get their attention, you have to structure your pitch, if you would, around what's in it for them. By you going, you attending, you getting additional training, professional training, what kind of dividend, what kind of ROI are they going to see based on backing you or investing in you? That should work. If it does not work, yeah, they got to sign off on it. But yeah, you might have to reach into your pocket. Depends how committed that you are, or maybe there's a split there, or some. There's a lot of ways to work out the money. I mean, it's not a fortune anyway.
Right.
It's more time than it is money, I think, is the main issue here. But I think if you approach the dealership in that a well thought out, closed door environment, not threatening. If you don't do this, I'm going to have to start looking. Well, you better have something already lined up, because they're going to send you to the parts department for a cardboard box to load up your shit and get out. So you got to be careful with that play. But I think a reasonable owner, a reasonable general manager, if you go and approach them and say, "Look, here's what I want to do, and here's why, and here's what's in it for you and the store and our growth as an organization," I think it'd be hard pressed to say no to you. Hard pressed.
Hey, Craig, that episode with Adam Aarons is number 30, Dealership Culture.
Dealership, that's right. Thank you, Adam.
Episode number 30.
Episode number 30. Ladies and gentlemen, please watch that episode. Adam Aarons is just a top-notch, growing dealer up in the Northeast. Has a couple Subaru stores. I think I saw it online. They just opened the Nissan store this week, I think.
Looked like in the beginning of the week, Monday, Tuesday.
Right.
Today's Wednesday.
And has been voted best dealership to work for like 8 years running.
Yeah.
And
it's not just a dealership; it's his organization.
Right.
That's pretty strong too.
Right. They're breaking ground on the Acura point. So it's just, you guys, take a look at episode 30 with Adam Aarons. It's awesome podcast. So.
I'd add with Ethan that you do need to be coming from a position of strength, meaning you've got to be already valued at that organization.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not at that point,
it's
not going to. No one's going to invest in you because they don't see it. So if you're somebody that's already contributing, and you're looking to grow, and they can see that you're somebody they want to align with,
gotcha.
Then I think your strategy makes perfect sense. Because why wouldn't they? You know.
Ethan said that episode is on iTunes and all the audio platforms now too, so you can listen to episode 30 on iTunes and so forth. So, Ethan, hopefully that kind of helps you out, puts you in a proper direction there. And that's a great question. Thank you, and it's important, and that I'd like to think that in a perfect world, which we do not live in, it would be awesome if more management thought that way. So-called, and he alluded himself as being middle management, that more people that are not so-called executive managers would want to take control of their destiny and get the additional training they need to become all that they can become. But they are going to need help. If I'm an owner, here again, if I got two people, if I got a guy like Ethan that really wants to and would probably invest, and I'm speaking for him here a little bit, I mean,
Some.
he would probably kick in a few bucks, right? Because he understands how important it is. Do you want that person? It's like, oh crap, this guy's pushing me. He wants to go to NAD Academy and this and that. And what if I send him and he leaves, right? And it's been said a billion times. What if you don't and he stays? Because that's your other choice. So now you got a uneducated leader. That's an oxymoron in your dealership. So man, it's like, if you're management and if you really want to do this right, if you're not just chasing a paycheck, and you really do want to improve, there are vehicles, excuse the pun, to be able to do that. Now, in a lot of cases, yeah, you're gonna have to go to your dealer, your general manager, and ask, sell them, pitch them, convince them that you're worth investing in. If you got to sign a contract that locks you in for a while, so what? I would hope that your intent is honorable, that you're not just going to get into the dealer's pocket, get your training, and leave. That you, in fact, truly do want to add to and raise the level of that organization, because that'd be cool. That'd be the right thing to do, and that's our industry needs more of that. So, before we get into the second part of your shopping experience, let's pay some more bills here. Talk about our friends at Dealer World, mydealerworld.com, and our personal friend, Troy Spring. You going to pee?
Yeah.
All right, dude. So, Dealer World is a really interesting story. Oh, gosh. And Troy made this post Monday, maybe. And what has it been? 11 years? I believe 11 years since he started it. And I mean, the story is a true story. Literally, I mean, Troy was financially beat to death. 08 and 09 was not kind to a lot of vendors in the car business. I mean, if you can imagine, just selfishly talk about AutoMax recruiting for a minute. Can you imagine owning a automotive recruiting company in 08 and 09 and calling a car dealership? Hey, do you need any rookie salespeople on your show? Click, hello? Hello, where'd you go? It's like, that was a tough time. We lost a boatload of dough. But at any rate, and, it's real. Well, I'm not talking out of school here. Troy was literally down to his last $65. And Troy has been successful right from jump in the car business. Big jobs, did great at these jobs, a results-oriented manager. Then he got into direct mail. Just knocked it out of the park. And then he started Dealer World, and it's a full-service ad agency, calls it performance agency. And they've grown now. Their growth is just ridiculous. And their growth is not based on, you'd be hard-pressed to see any real marketing of themselves, frankly. Dealer World's growth, oddly enough, for an ad agency, performance agency, has really been based on word of mouth and repeat and referral business. I mean, it's like, and he said this before, but one of his accounts, one of his first accounts, maybe his first account, it was an account of ours that we actually introduced Troy to, and he's just done it and probably been a 10-year account now with them, and just does an amazing job with these people in this group, and it's a growing group. And we do business with some of Troy's accounts, and I'm going to tell you what, these people are, you want to talk about dealers that really know what they're doing, that are really sharp. They know who's real and who's pretending, and they go with Dealer World because they know they're real. They're getting way more than they're paying for. And if I'm a dealer, if I'm a decision maker at a dealership, you get by. I can't even imagine how many so-called digital marketing companies, ad agencies, so forth you get held up with, it's got to just blow your brains out amount of times. You sit down and talk with Hunter Swift. They'll do a free evaluation. And from what I understand, the majority of cases, they can actually take your current ad budget, reduce it, and the results go up exponentially. There's a lot of reasons for this. A, his staff is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. They're able to recruit talent that is just mind-blowing. So, I mean, they have all their people, and their culture is spectacular, and they just do a great job in all forms of advertising, traditional, digital, you name it. Plus, because they have so much car experience, they can see things that other digital companies, because not a lot of digital companies that I'm aware of, and somebody will, I'm sure, I mean, there's exceptions, obviously, don't have a lot of retail car experience. Not a lot of these people come out of retail like Troy and start an ad agency. So Troy can take a look at something that's not working and say, whoa, wait a minute, here, and not defending like the spend, but okay, you've spent this many X amount of dollars with us. This isn't working like it should. I stand behind our approach to it, but it's not working, and here's why I think it's not working, and here, let's try to fix it. Most ad agencies just say, well, I don't know, we got them in there. We got them. I don't know what happened after that. No, Dealer World doesn't do that. They dive deeper. That's the performance agency aspect of their company. So, man, they're awesome people. They are really awesome people. They're legit friends of ours. I recommend them highly. One of the cool things about our sponsors is we do know them all personally, and they're all just top-notch people. So, it kind of like, oh, Craig, not everybody can be great. Yeah, our sponsors are legitimately like over-the-top great, smart people, just awesome. So go to mydealerworld.com or hit up. The best way to get the quickest service is to go through Hunter Swift. Look him up on Facebook. He's all over the place. He's the vice president in charge of sales nationwide, and he'll get you hooked up. Hunter's a great guy, too. I've had the opportunity to be at a lot of conferences and so forth with Hunter over the years. So he's awesome. So, and thank you for your sponsorship and giving us money. Really like it that you guys give us money. That's awesome. You guys are all due for a bump, too. We're going to have to bump you in 2020. You're going to have to pay us more money to be a sponsor here. All right. So we had a horrible experience that hopefully you dealers can learn something from. So maybe this, just to recap here, maybe this person, their attitude was freaking horrible, right? Their approach along with the attitude was doubly bad. You walked out angry, upset, wasted time. How much actual time did all that take? Probably took a while.
It took a little while.
More?
Oh, it was more than an hour.
Yeah.
It was probably 2 hours or so.
2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
2 hours of aggravation.
Yeah.
2 hours of aggravation. Wow, life's short, man. It's not worth that.
It was probably 2.5.
And it could have been with some minor tweaks, could have been so totally turned around, man. Okay. All right, so did you start there?
We stopped there.
Oh, okay.
Started and stopped.
Okay.
Like,
well, didn't you? I thought you went to another place.
I did, but not on the same day. I couldn't.
Oh.
We were bummed.
Yeah.
Out. We were like, forget it.
Right.
We did not want to go through another experience.
Right.
Like that.
Because the natural inclination is, oh man, I'm going to put myself through this torture
And
again today.
And we were it was like no. Yeah. So we just went back home and let it go. So then a couple days later, during a weekday, I did go to the other dealership, actually, where my in-laws already had leased previously. So it's where they would turn the lease back in. I wanted to make sure that the transaction of purchasing their turned-in vehicle, how that would go, what charges there would be to me, make sure it didn't impact their next lease, and what the numbers would be all that way. So just to make sure everything was in line. And right from the start, from just walking into that dealership, everything was different.
How so?
Well, just simply how we were greeted. We were greeted with a friendly, "Hey, glad to see you're here. Thanks for,
And they did not know you were coming.
No,
They
not
did
at
not
all.
know that you were a previous buyer or owner at that point. It was
no.
just you were
No.
just again, quote unquote,
Yeah,
fresh
just
up.
walked to. And so
Okay.
the salesperson who handled that transaction for my in-laws previously was with another customer.
It was still there.
Yeah, the guy's still there.
Well, that sells
That's
something right there.
right? So I was greeted by someone completely different. There was no problem, because I explained what it was and so
Right.
forth. I said, more than likely, I need to speak with a manager, and here's why, because of what I was trying to do.
Right.
So they said, no problem. Like, no problem. Right now he's, doing some numbers, but as soon as he's finished, well, I'll ask him to come out. So this gentleman then did come out. And without any rigmarole, I explained what I was looking to do, who my father-in-law was, that the lease is expiring. Yes, we know who he is. We'll get another vehicle ready that's the same as what he had before, just 3 years newer. And so they gave me the information about that, what it would cost him to lease, what it would be for me to buy out their lease, the paperwork needed, the dollars and cents, down to, everything. It goes, here's going to be our charge for this and what it is, reasonable. I'm all good with that.
Right.
We can handle you. I'm out of state for where they are. We can handle your paperwork. We're just got to be, do this for registering and licensing it and all that stuff. Good. It was easy. And then while we were there, they said, let us show you a few things about the new vehicle that your in-laws are going to be driving and why this is going to be good for them. They took, they showed us, they already own, and it's only going to be a little, but they took the time to show us some different features versus what they had.
Right.
Again, I'm not the one driving it,
Right.
but they still showed us to get us excited about for my in-laws.
Right. Well, it's the old thing. If the buyer's not, if the buyer's not there, whoever's there, you have to turn into a salesman to the ultimate buyer. So treat them with red carpet treatment. Give them set them up to set them up. Basically, I mean, that's, you can call that old school, but that just is
because here's
common sense.
Here's the thing: my in-laws, at that point, they still have not signed anything.
Right.
They don't have a sale yet, even though that
Correct.
was leading to be the intention.
Right.
So why not?
Right.
Sell
And
us?
they're assuming the sale.
Yeah, they're certainly assuming
by
the sale.
their attitude and by their the way that they're performing. Now, let me ask you this: why didn't you guys start there? You wanted to look at this other product,
Right, because my in-laws are obviously familiar with the product they already have.
right?
And that's up where they live.
Right.
All right. So I was home down here in Jersey, and it was the other product that they were considering. We wanted to get a beat on to share that information with them. So that's why we went to that, because it's a product we don't know. Well enough, and I still don't.
Why wouldn't you have done all that online? Because some of that,
Because you can't touch and feel it. I want to touch and I don't buy anything just online. I'm gonna be one bummed cat when there's no retail because I don't buy anything without trying it on, put it on, because they're always different. And I know it's easy to return stuff. You buy it on. This is one I wasn't thinking, send it back. That's still a pain.
Sure it is.
And then
I ended up
sometimes
not returning
that's
stuff.
what I was just going to say to you. And then you end up stuff with that you're never going to use that you paid for.
Right.
I want to go.
Goes in a yard sale.
I don't care what it is. Everything. I just am a guy who I want to touch, see, feel, put it on, and then I'll make my decision to buy it.
I get it. I agree.
So that going to the retail environment is, for me, very important.
Right.
And at that point in time, I want to be treated respectfully. I want to be given, if I'm going to go buy something from you, show me why I should be buying something from you. Don't just assume I'm going to buy it from you because, well, I should, whatever.
Right.
And that's what these guys did. The guys at the second dealership, you could tell they had a certain good feel about just being there. Like they liked it. There was like a vibe to the place, and there were 2 or 3 other female sales people in that deal. You could see. So it was a mix of individuals, and the culture was somewhat diverse, and age-wise, it was a little bit diverse.
Good.
So it just seemed to be and just how they communicate and how they talk to us, and how they, without any hesitation, look, here's what it's going to be. Here's how we can do it, and it was so easy to want to do business with them.
Right. So to swing it back to recruiting, you would have to assume, or I guess it would be safe to assume, you don't have to, it would be safe to assume that this was probably a good hire. The culture obviously is right. So they hire to their culture. Then they probably onboarded, I'm guessing obviously, but it sounds like, if you could broad stroke this thing, they onboarded this specific person properly and professionally, and then ongoing developed this person to end up with the result that he or she provided for you during that not transaction, but that visit.
I can say you're probably right with that. I can tell you my sense of feeling when we left that was that was a good place to work.
Yeah.
That the people that were working there were glad that they were working
right.
there.
That's
they wanted
so
to
important,
be.
dude.
They wanted to be a part of that operation. They were ambassadors for the brand.
Yeah.
They were ambassadors for that name. That dealership name.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, just because of the way they were treated, you can't come out and treat me that kindly.
Right.
That
Right.
just openness.
Right.
An air of welcoming.
Right. You can't fake that stuff.
No, it was completely different. It was just such a different vibe while you were there. And I don't know. I got to believe that, like you were always saying, it comes from the top. So the owner himself, perhaps, or herself, how she's interacting with her executive management.
Undoubtedly.
The way they're treated, what's their expectations, how they're expected to achieve those expectations.
Yes.
I think I got the sense that the ground wasn't shifting underneath these people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It just was, my father-in-law's actually been purchasing or leasing, it's got to be like for 15 years. So the idea of them going to a different product was a stretch.
Yes.
So, but it was there. I mean, they were seriously considering it because they've already had this for so long.
Right.
And this is a good,
Right. Why not take a look at least?
Right. And if I can tell you, had we come back wowed, like, wow, you've got to go take a look at this, the first place we went to.
Right. They would have.
They absolutely would have.
Right.
And if numbers would have been the same, they would have
switched.
They would have.
Yeah.
But we had no shot at having that happen. And I wasn't going to go to another deal just to go.
Oh.
At that point, when we gave them the feedback,
Right.
we're done.
Okay.
Just
right. Yeah. Let's go that way.
we know these people. They treat us well. Let's let it be.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
So.
Wow. So, I mean, it's undoubtable, and we've talked about it ad nauseum. We probably will keep focusing on it, that the better you treat your team members, the better your initial hire is, that fits your culture, the more emotionally intelligent that person is to begin with, and that you develop him or her along those lines and help them onboard them properly beforehand, of course, and then constantly, ongoing, develop those people and love on those people.
Yeah.
They're just going to treat your customers better. Just going to, because like you just alluded to, you felt like they wanted to be there. They enjoyed being there. See, I think we get a little bit confused with customer experience in the red carpet treatment and all that, all the cliches you want to add on to that. I don't think it's ever going to be fun buying a car. I don't necessarily believe in a customer experience has to be fun. It's not going to be bells and whistles. It's not a freaking carnival when you go into a car dealership. This is not where you go for fun. Go to a movie if you want to have a good day, a good afternoon. Let's make it easy. The second place you went to, it's easy. The first place was just hurdle after hurdle after hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. Let's just make it easy. Forget about fun. Forget about that kind of thing. This isn't going to be, it's not, I don't think, not that it's, what's the opposite of fun? Horrid. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, let's pick easy over fun. Okay? It's, if you want to make it fun, hey, fun for branding, if you want to sing on your videos or, do something goofy and brand yourself that way, that's a whole different deal. I'm not talking about that. But the dealership experience, once they come in the building or you're in contact with them via phone or lead, text, or what have you, it's got to be easy, man. And we've talked about it internally.
Agree. Totally agree.
We'll talk about it in our company meeting here shortly after when we're done here. That we have to make it easier for dealerships to do business with us. I mean, so it's a total no, because what we provide in terms of results is a no-brainer. But to get them over the hump to say yes, to take this off their plate so they don't have to screw with it, we just have to make it easy.
I agree.
So when they're on the other end of the phone, they go, okay, well, I got no objections, man. I can't say no to this. This is just easy. So, I mean, I think in our businesses, most businesses are like that. It just, you make it easier for them. People give you more money. They'll do it more often, and they'll tell their friends.
Yeah.
So,
well, and conversely, like you're saying, I'm definitely an advocate for the dealership that made it easy for me to want to do
No
business.
doubt.
I would wholeheartedly recommend them
course.
to anybody because it was exactly what you said,
Right.
easy. It's going to
of
be
course.
later on this week or Saturday. We're going to finalize everything. We're going to go up and
Good.
get it.
Right.
And I know it's going to be easy. I know
Right.
when I get there,
Right.
there's not going to be any. Oh, Ernie, by the way,
Right.
there's not
Right.
going to be any hijinks.
Right.
I know already. It's
Right.
just going to go and on my way.
Right. Another lesson here, friends that are listening to this, that are in, it doesn't matter if you're in automotive or what industry you are listening to this podcast, that when someone says they'll be back, there is such a thing as a be back. I mean, when you and I started off, it was like, man, you got to sell them right now because you ain't never going to see them again. You got two choices, Ernie.
We beat that.
Either lowball them or close them and deliver them, spot them, because you ain't never going to see them again if you don't. So, but that's not that way today. Today, if you make it easy for them to purchase from you and treat a person with respect and dignity and follow up with them, they're going to come back more likely than not to do business with you, because chances are they're going to run into,
Yeah.
the first person. So, if that happens, I mean, they're coming flying back to you, man.
There's a relationship. There's a culture that
No doubt.
there's because who knows in the future? The first place I went to, there's just no way I'd ever consider them, and that how long it'll last? How many
Right.
opportunities are they losing from that one interaction with me?
Right. That's exactly
I don't
right.
know. It's not just
Yeah.
me. It's
Right.
certainly like you said.
A lot of lessons to be learned here. And folks, I think in something that I wanted to kind of not wrap it up, but kind of talk about here as we wind this thing down a little bit, is that I find it interesting again, and I alluded to this a little bit ago earlier in this conversation, this story, that you were a real walk-in, a legit walk-in.
Yeah, that fascinates you, huh?
Which it really does, because I think we've gotten so far away from knowing how to handle a walk-in. I think a walk-in is almost like a surprise attack now to an automobile dealership. It's like, oh shit, like, well, what do we do with this person? They just happen to drive by, pull in, and they're here to talk about buying a car.
Appointment, huh?
Without a scheduled appointment. That didn't
No
submit a
other
lead
information,
form.
Right.
We haven't texted back and forth 20 times. We haven't been on the phone with them. They just showed up. Where when you and I sold cars, obviously, I mean, there were phone ups, but it was, it was Wild West. It was like, tell them whatever you got to tell them to get them in, or, how much more I trade? Well, back it up to the phone, all that horse shit we put people through. I did like saying that stuff, though. Sir, just, is your car right by? Yeah. Okay. Would you just back it up to the phone, please? Let me take a look. Huh? Yeah, just back it up to the phone. It's the only way I can give you a figure on your car if I see it. Well, you can't see through my telephone. Oh, yeah, shit. That means you got to come down here, moron. Oh, gosh. Good thing we changed. We don't do that anymore. Hopefully we don't do that anymore. But at any rate, I think we're probably, if you surveyed 100 dealerships, if that surprise attack of a customer just walking in, we as an industry might not be prepared for that customer anymore, because we're so used to the other way, which leads me to another discussion about BDCs. I don't think I'm taking up a huge leap here or saying anything revolutionary, that our business within a certain amount of time, it's going to be one big BDC, basically. I don't see it happening any other way. More and more transactions, supposedly, people want to handle them online. Most people, not you, but most people do. So they're going to search these sites, whether it be TrueCar, Car Gurus, ad nauseum, cars.com, name whatever. There's a million of them. They're going to go through some lead source, or they're going to go to the dealership's website, or however, they're going to put in they could put in some sort of lead form. Then hopefully the follow-up does start from that BDC to try to contact them with the goal of setting appointments. My goal would be to get together with the potential customer, whether it be in the dealership or outside the dealership, but somehow get face-to-face with that customer. Or not. I mean, a car can be sold over a phone. I mean, everything can be done without that customer ever showing up. I mean, it's done every day. There's no reason it can't be done more. If that's what the customer wants to do, that goes back to making it easy. But I'm concerned, and again, this is not a blanket 100% statement, but I'm concerned that a lot of dealers, not all, it might not, and it's probably not the majority, but I have a real legit concern that we're looking at our BDCs and the people that we're hiring into there as being a minimum wage telemarketer with very little information. And we're not giving him information.
No.
Because, and I think Jason, I think in his post, and I'm going to screw this up, but kind of alluded to that, of if you had a choice between having a person, a green pea in your BDC, and you get a phone call, do you keep that person stupid and just script them to get the people in? Or do you try to give him or her information knowing that they'll screw it up and you'll never see the person? So if those were the only two things to choose from, right, you probably want to keep him stupid and not give him information, which is obviously that's the wrong thing to do. That's a complete reverse of transparency. But there should probably be a mix. But I'm concerned with how we're looking at the people that we're putting in our BDCs. If anything, they have to be at the very least equal, not to the salesperson you first talked to, but for sure to the second salesperson. They should have the same training, the same information, or more. They need to know their product. They need to know what's going on, specials, rebates, incentives, on and on and on. They need to know all the information, if for no other reason, just in case. Right? Whether it's scripted or not, I don't care. I'm up in the, some people you talk to, it's like, scripts are horrible. Other people you talk to, scripts are it. I don't know. So whatever floats your boat, whatever you're comfortable with it as a store, as a culture, and again, to the individual. If you have 10 people in your BDC and 6 are really awesome with scripts and 4 are not, why are you going to make the 4 that are not, make them learn the script and or vice versa? The 6 that are better with scripts, have them wing it. It doesn't work. You got to handle everybody individually. It just can't be one thing fits all. It's like, to go back to football, it's about trading for, drafting, or acquiring talent, and it'd be like trying to make Tom Brady into Lamar Jackson, right? Well, this is my offense, and this is, Tom, you're going to have to run the ball, right? Okay, he'd be crippled in 3 plays. So, and Lamar might, as it turns out, too. I don't wish that on anybody, but I don't see that ending well, frankly.
I do not see that.
I don't. I just don't see it ending well.
We've watched enough football.
Yeah, there's a reason why quarterbacks are thrown out of a pocket for 60 years or however long it's been. But at any rate. So my concern is that we're looking at BDC reps as second-class citizens, second-class hires. They're
It can be found anywhere.
It can be found anywhere. Just give them a sheet of paper with words written on it. Show them how to work the CRM and how to dial a phone and how to text out of your CRM, and bang, you got an employee. That's and they get in a lot of cases they're underpaid, but they're underpaid because they're
Pay plan.
yeah, it's the pay plan, and they don't value
I was going to say,
the position as much. Guys,
I think
it could be next year. I mean, this is all happening so fast. If your BDC, if the quality of your BDC, the training, the ongoing training, the respect that you give these people is second class, you're going to have a second class result. That, if you call them a BDC director, manager, whatever, that person, in my opinion, in today's world, should be on equal footing at least with the sales manager of the dealership. At the very least, probably the GSM, because most of the leads, most of the deals are starting there.
well, that's just going to
supposedly.
say, first contact is that department.
Right.
So nothing's going to happen if that is not a well-oiled machine. And to your point, there's room for improvement.
I'm sorry, I just happened to pick up my phone here. Gentleman manager Jeff Turley says, Craig Lockerd, the left hand needs to know what the right hand is doing. Amen. From management on down, everyone has to be on the same page. That's absolutely spot on. And our buddy James Steele says the BDC reps are the most important, and they really are. We have to look at these things. This is not this difficult. I think a lot of times ego really gets us screwed up inside a dealership, and the hierarchy of a dealership really gets. I mean, they're obviously hierarchies are a must, and there's a hierarchy in everything that we do. In a car dealership, I think it sometimes gets so ego inflated and ego driven that it gets screwed up, where that hierarchy it defaults on what is possible in a car dealership. Because what's possible, we haven't even scratched the surface of. We just haven't. So, back to this BDC thing. I'd like to see dealers, what you and I say here today is not going to change the culture of the automotive industry, although it could have a little dent in it. However, if someone is listening to this podcast right now, just take a step back from your BDC, or have a clean set of eyes that have nothing to do with the automobile industry. Take a look at that and say, well, yeah, you got substandard talent in there. You have substandard onboarding and training, so you're turning out substandard results.
Right.
The manager's treated like a lot boy. So, yeah, there's your problem. So let's take a look at what we got. Let's keep the ones that have upside. Let's start over. Let's hire to culture. Do we have a culture? Let's hire to culture. Let's hire to emotional intelligence. Let's hire to IQ, because they have to have the ability to be able to think and be smart, trainable, onboard them properly, like spotlessly, and then develop them and constantly work with these people and grow that BDC into the strong, effective arm of the overall potential profit of the dealership that's available. If not, man, it's going to be tough to compete, man. It just is. And it's like, and what I think what happens, Ernie, and because we deal with dealers that, have 30 people in the store to people that have 330 people in the store or more. Yeah. I mean, we literally deal with little single point stores literally in the middle of nowhere. So consequently, their talent pool is reflective of where they're at geographically and so forth. But we can still pick the best of the best. And that's what you have to do, regardless of where you're at. If you're in a big metropolitan area and you have a bigger talent pool, God bless you. But it's all relative. You still got to pick the best people, the best people. Well, Craig, we can't afford to pay those people. You can't afford not to, man. You can't.
It's only a percentage.
You can't. And we make a zillion mistakes, but I mean, paying our people, our team members. I mean, they just got their Christmas bonuses, and it was, I don't know, I don't know if it's a lot or a little, but for us, it was a lot,
Sure.
and they were all very appreciative of that, and we're blessed to be able to do that. But it's because of we make the right hire, we develop them, they know what they're supposed to do, they work together as a team, and then they're accordingly. We don't try to get anybody on the cheap.
Right.
We're not paying slave wages, looking at, because a lot of this we could look at it as like, well, that's just task oriented. It's like, man, we got people that work 7 days a week. I mean, like most of them, so it's, pay attention to your BDC. I mean, you really got to step up the game, dealers. You really do. It's very, very, very important. And I think it's something that we all have to focus on more. If you're running a sales department, if you're running a dealership, if you're able to affect change, you really need to look at that going into 2020.
Well, a lot of I might be wrong, but going forward, much of the sales is going to starts at the BDC. They're already giving out. I mean,
No doubt.
you're not supposed to give out numbers. Well, in today's world, people want to know what they're walking into. So the product specialist is going to be different than a salesperson. The salesperson, I think,
Right.
is becoming the BDC.
Right. Yeah. Well, here, Ethan, again, he just put in the stream here, you need a farm system, almost like baseball, and then, which I'll come back to in a minute. And then James Steele said, like anything else in our business, if you go cheap, the expense will be far more than if you had just hired, trained, and paid them right in the first place. And there's no question about that. There's no question about that. But I really like Ethan's idea about a farm system. Let's develop those people. That BDC rep, again, if you're hiring talent, you have your culture. You hire towards that culture. You onboard them properly, develop them properly. Who knows where that BDC rep can end up? They could end up being manager/director. They could end up going into the sales department. They can end up owning their own damn store, and the dealership expands through him or her, whoever that BDC director is. So it's that important. It's absolutely important. Jim Fitzpatrick, thanks for watching the show, man. I don't know that you've been on before, but thanks a lot. It's CBT News. So that's awesome. Thanks for getting
Jim.
on. Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Well, it's interesting. Talking about the BDC, Jim and David Kane a year ago did a little segment on CBT about BDC. And Jim was interviewing David, and they were just talking about
David Kane is so sharp.
Yeah, it was real sharp. It was about 15, 20 minutes of a segment, and but it was really good. They had shared really good insight. And what I was bringing up, though, it was a year ago already, and how fast time has gone by. And one of the questions Jim was asking, it's an expense for a lot of organizations to invest in setting up a BDC. So should a dealership have a BDC was a question, and pretty much it's yes. I think that you should. Some stores can do
Call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But those leads are coming in somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and who's handling them? And
Right.
and to your point, I believe that the sharper, the more effective that initial engagement is, that's what's going to bring people into the
No
show.
question.
That's going to sell vehicles one way or the other. Whether it brings them to us or you go out to them, your flexibility.
Right. Now, there's a big camp that says salespeople should be able to handle all this cradle to grave.
Yeah.
Should be able to handle the incoming lead.
I used to think so.
Right, me
because
too.
but I'm beginning to think that there's just too much follow up long term, too much that you can't leave it. It's too subjective. I'm going to say because it's not.
That's right.
You can't. You don't manage it in the same way. You don't.
Correct. If you left that up to me, I'm going to follow up, and then I'm going to say, you know what, I'm done, man. I just don't have the time then to hit the kind of numbers that I need or want or expect myself to hit. There's no way as a salesperson I'm selling 50, 60 cars a month if I'm handling stuff cradle to grave. I don't think. I got to make it bang, 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 easy. Bang. You're here. Here's the numbers. Drive. See ya. Next. Thanks for.
It should be volume that way, and you're not going to drive the volume on your own. And first of all, the salesperson should also be developing their own market, doing their own,
Right.
social media marketing
Correct.
on various platforms. So that's taking time away from being able to do that, where the incoming stuff, that's got to be a separate department.
Speaking of platforms, segue, Automotive HR. Automotive HR. Dealers, if you're listening right now, go to your website, it's probably under your About Us page or drop down. In there, you're going to have something about a career tab or, job opportunities or whatever is going to be on your site. Open that up, and what do you have sitting there? Parts driver, $14 an hour, blah, 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 blah. Got to have clean driver's license, yada, yada, yada. Sales associate, no experience needed. Make between $45,000 to $75,000 a year, yada, 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 yada. Okay, let me share this with you, and please hang in there and listen to me on this for a minute. Ain't nobody coming to your website looking for a job. They're not coming to your website to look for a job. They're not coming to your website to look for a job. So if that's what you're doing, if you're just putting a blurb on there or posting a job using the term loosely, you're wasting real estate on your website. It's a total waste of time, money, energy, and space and bandwidth. Get rid of it. However, in saying that, it's really super important that you have a career tab on your website. Well, Craig, you've just talked out of both sides of your mouth. Yes, I have. But it has to be a legitimate platform that will engage outside traffic to your site for a specific reason, and that's to find employees. What we found is the best in the country. This is not hyperbole. This is absolutely a fact. And we have researched this over the years ad nauseum. AutomotiveHR.com. AutomotiveHR.com is the absolute best full career branded website. It's a drop down, it's part of your site. Unlimited job postings, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's an applicant tracking system. In other words, it's what we call a talent network that you can create within your site on this platform. You have the ability to get video resumes. It's endless. Now, what really separates, and there's other companies that do stuff like this, their results are not as good. We use this. When dealers say, how in the world did you find these people? Are you making freaking robots? Are you are you part of Boston Dynamics? Is that where you're getting these people, man? It's like, these are real human beings, right? It's like, yeah, no, they really are. But we use this product. We use this tool, and so should you. The really cool thing, and it's relatively new, is it's like electronic onboarding, which is, in my opinion, is a must. Most people quit. Retention is directly tied into improper onboarding. Those first few hours, believe it or not, spent at the dealership. If you're there sitting there with a big stack of paper and they're filling out I-9s and drug testing consent forms and all that crap, not crap, it's important. It can all be done from their home prior to them starting. You don't have to have them do it at the dealership. So electronic onboard all your people. It's a no-brainer. What's really interesting, is the human resource part of the program in real legit onboarding that you got to take a look at. There is literally nothing in the industry like it. There is nothing that any platform like this offers. And it's crazy inexpensive. So, two ways to do this. Go directly to automotivehr.com. That's cool. Stephen Werner's the CEO. They've got some crazy smart tech nerds put this software together, and it's proprietary. No one's got it. and it's amazing. And again, like I said, we use it. We also, quote unquote, resell it. So you can call 800-878-5090, 800-878-5090. In other words, get a hold of AutoMax, speak to Joe or Ernie, mention the Recruiter podcast. Mention the Recruiter podcast. You'll save a couple bucks. By a couple bucks, I don't mean a couple hundred, because they're in that kind of margin there. I mean, this is a no-brainer price point. Plus the fact, this is a tool that if you're going to compete going into 2020 in this next decade, this is a platform, a product, a tool that this is not I really should take a look at it. I should do this, I should do that. You end up shitting all over yourselves. This is something that you must do. Now, whether it be KPA, Hierology, what have you, I'm telling you, I'm not bashing these other companies. Automotive HR is just better, or we would have chosen one of these other companies. It's as simple as that. So we're a big proponent of the platform. I would urge you to get a demo. You can also, when you call in, ask for Brian, either Brian, Joe, or Ernie. Brian, Joe, or Ernie, and we will go through as long a presentation as you need to make a decision. It's only, what's it take, 20 minutes for like a full-blown one?
Yeah. Not showing the back-end capabilities.
Right. It's insane. It's insane. A lot of big dealer groups use it. I've name dropped in the past. I'm going to try to stay away from that. But there's some major disruptors in the car business use this platform. So I would urge you guys to do it very much. And they're a friend of the program, so you want to reach out to them. So I think we
need to go.
Yeah, we need to go. Yeah. So, Adam, anything over from you, producer Adam? You still awake?
No, I don't have anything. I'm good.
All right, that's cool, dude.
It's good talking to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for Adam's going to be more involved in the show every week. No sense having a millionaire producer if you can't put him on the show.
That's
so
right.
Get a camera
Raise
in there.
the game.
He's a very attractive man as well too. So we'll probably put him on camera. So
I'll stay in my room over here.
okay.
Instead of yelling from the room,
Right.
You can hear me now.
Right. Yeah. Well, get your Google on next. We got I don't know what we're going to do next week, but we'll have one next week, and you'll be Googling some stuff. So thanks as always, Adam, to you and All Systems Go AV. You guys rock.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Ernie, what else? Anything you want to finish up with here? We got to go to our other meeting, and all caught up for the holidays. You buy everything. You spend all your money. You done?
No.
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 Takes me 40 minutes to get all my Christmas shopping done. I go to the bank and I turn in cash for a bunch of Visa cards.
There you go.
Have fun, guys.
No, but it's fastly, 13 days or whatever it is. It's pretty close.
Yeah, I probably should get around to getting a Christmas tree up.
We did that. That was a fun experience.
Yeah, it looked fun.
Yeah, it was hilarious. When we went to the first tree farm, had never been there before, found it, was a little out of the way.
Bad tree farm experience?
It was.
Maybe you're a lousy buyer, Ernie.
Laura and I said that to each other. We said, are we difficult? Are our expectations too high of what? And then we had the good experience. And we're like, well, no, this is what we expected. So we
You're 50-50.
Yeah. No, the tree farm was hilarious though, because most of them you go to and there's rows of planted trees. Right. Well, this was maybe 50 trees, and they were all grown into each other, and just like I don't know how to describe it, but it was pretty funny, and it was really odd. And like I said, most of them today, they'll bale your tree and they'll shake it, knock out all the stuff, and then wrap it up tight and put it on your roof and tie it down for you. This guy, he has a chainsaw. He'll cut it down, and that's it.
Good luck with transportation, on you. How about that picture of that Subaru? Yeah, that was like, it looked like Chevy Chase. That tree was, it was bigger than the car.
It was way bigger than the car. And that was the point. So here we were looking at it, like, what's this guy doing? This gigantic tree. It had to be had to be a 30-foot tree. I don't know. I mean, 20-foot. It was gigantic, and no way did it fit on the car. And there it is, just on top of the car, wobbling as it's going down. I thought it was going to tip the car as it was leaving there. I'm like, no way. I can't do this. So anyway, next year we'll go back because I'll be prepared.
Anthony, you're insane.
You got to roll.
I used to sell Christmas trees before I was in the car business. Who would know that?
Yeah. Selling Christmas trees. That's pretty cool, Anthony.
It is cool. All right, so speaking of cool, all you people are so freaking cool. We love you. We really do love you.
Yeah.
You're awesome people.
Appreciate our clients.
Yeah, we'll get, and all our listeners, leave a review. Again, AutoMax Recruiting, YouTube channel, Facebook, all the podcasts, audio podcasts, review us. We'd appreciate it. Leave questions, whatever you want to do. Leave reviews, good, bad, or indifferent. But we do love you. And if we don't, we will be here before the holidays approach. But if you don't have an opportunity to tune in, we wish you and your families a Merry Christmas, a very Happy New Year, or a Happy Holiday, as the case might be. But to you and your family, we wish you the very best. Santa Claus is real, and he's, leave room for your chimney, and so he can come down there. If you don't have a chimney, leave, something open so he can get in. I don't know how else he gets in, so you got to leave something open so he gets in the house. It always used to freak me out when I didn't have a fireplace. So, but I thought I was screwed because we didn't have a chimney, but there was always a present there.
Yeah.
So,
Sweet.
all right. As always, partner, it was great to spend time with you. All right.
See you soon.
All right, Adam. Thanks a lot, man. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Woo. All right.
On we go.
Well, that was.